The Get On Living Safely campaign is sponsoring this podcast to remind you to keep your spending in the community. Supporting local businesses keeps food on the table for our friends and neighbors. Follow them on social media and learn more at getonlivingsafely.com. At La Crosse Local, we like to talk about food. And at the Place of Grace, you can share a meal and find a community. The Catholic Worker House offers a place to get involved in being of service to your community members. From the services they offer to how to go about volunteering, we learn about the Place of Grace and how it started. You can find more conversations on our website, lacrosselocal.com. I'm Amy.
And I'm Brent.
And this is La Crosse Local.
I'm Aaron Rosh. I was born in Aurora, Illinois. Been living in this La Crosse area for over 17 years. What led me to the Place of Grace was a man, Tom Thibodeau, who's a professor at Viterbo University. I had classes with him at Viterbo. I graduated with the Servant Leadership Program. Kind of was in a transitional point in my life, and he met me at E.111. We're having a beer, and he goes, "Wow, Aaron, why don't you come over to the Place of Grace and live with me?" And like, well, not live with him, but live there and work on the mission and service work. And I was like, well, at first I wasn't really hot for the idea, but I let go to it, and it's been a beautiful journey. That was 2 years ago. So lived at the Place of Grace. Now I live just 5 blocks away, but it's been a blessing to kind of help the community, build a community, do exciting things. It's a cool place.
My name is Alex DiCella. I was born in Brookfield, Wisconsin. What led me to the Place of Grace? I went to Viterbo as an undergrad. I played basketball there, and our basketball team volunteered with the Place of Grace a few times. So I first got involved with that. However, that was about 5-6 years ago. I kind of forgot about it. Aaron and I were Facebook friends, and he just made a post about the food pantry back in like May. And I came by to check it out, got some food, and he mentioned that they're looking for someone to come in and help. I was kind of with the pandemic between houses, between jobs. I'm also in grad school at Viterbo again for mental health counseling. So it just really worked out really nice as a way to get more involved with immediate services for people that need help, and just very fulfilling for me as well.
My name is Myra Jansky, and I was born in La Crosse at Franciscan Skimp, but I grew up in Holman, actually outside of Holman near Stevenstown. Yeah, what led me to Place of Grace? Around the time that quarantine happened, I was just feeling really unfulfilled working in the food industry, and I kind of promised I wouldn't do that anymore because it didn't feel passionate for me. And around the same time, I met Alex, who knew Aaron, and we found him out on a trail out in the woods, and he was just saying, that there were some rooms opening up and that it's community service, working with the community. And I was like, I can do that, that feels a lot more fulfilling than just trying to, make tips working at a restaurant. I'd really like to help the community. And, even getting to cook on Thursdays, cooking for people is kind of my love language. So it just kind of seemed to fit in perfectly, radical faith and helping people. So yeah, that's how I got here.
My name is James Wheeler. I was born in La Crosse, lived in Texas and Iowa a little bit. I was working for Ho Chunk in social services with the youth, and there were some youth that I worked with that also would come here sometimes. And then during this time, I got laid off of my job, and I know Alex, who knew Aaron, and then linked up with this place, started volunteering, and really enjoyed working with, my best friends and my new friend Aaron, and giving back to the community. And it's been really beautiful.
So just based on my own experience, I know the Place of Grace has been around for decades. I actually washed dishes a handful of times when we came for a meal. So how did the Place of Grace get started?
The year was 1996, and Tom Thibodeau was really instrumental in bringing it all together. There was a small group of people affiliated with Viterbo University that were interested in starting a Catholic worker house. They knew La Crosse didn't have one. They thought it could do really well. They knew about the movement and the Catholic worker, kind of the principles and the tenets for providing hospitality in that radical kind of Catholic kind of way, where it was just about distributing abundance in the community to where it's needed most. So Tom Thibodeau had started collecting money from people and gathering like $1 and $5 bills, had collected $700, trying to explore if this would be a good idea and having some money to kind of go towards the cause. When they found out an opportunity where the Place of Grace is currently located, and it was Christmas Eve in 1996, it opened up because the city of La Crosse was closing down the house, which is running basically kind of a quarter house program for women out of jail. And when they decided to close that, they're very open and just letting someone either leasing it or paying for the house in the meantime while they were going to sell it. So Tom put the money down on the house without even knowing what, having any expectation or guarantee of future funds. But with the credibility of the people in the group, we're allowed to kind of sign a lease, and they opened up the house on Christmas Eve, quickly going into debt after they had to pay for the heating oil cost, a week later. But the story was they prayed on the faith of just like, come together. This is a place that we can build community where it's needed most. And at the time, Hood Street, and it still is it was one of the most economically diverse neighborhoods in the city. So they very intentionally wanted the house to be here. But they also knew that most people that live in the neighborhood are renting, and they're very fluid. And so building a stable house in the community where we can all come to was part of the vision. So that's kind of the origin story. I think Tom does it really more magically than I do, but it is interesting. This house was built in 1902. It was originally habited by like Bohemian newspapers. It was created out of this area because this is kind of like a Bohemian neighborhood, which is great. I know Myra's a little Bohemian, same with me. But I think it all flows with the vibe of the house, which is this easygoing nature of connection. There is music and art here. We have people playing music outside, and I think we have this that kind of draw too. So providing food, company, music. This is all kind of where we're flowing now, I guess. So.
From what I know, a Catholic Worker House, being at the Place of Grace, you have multiple meals a week. What other activities are going on?
So as you know, from a long time, we have meals at the house, and now with this pandemic going on, we've really had to make this a little different. So we've had a food pantry that's been in existence. We have a whole, basically a 2-car garage that's been stripped out, industrial-sized freezers, refrigerators, and shelving put in. So we have a lot of food that gets delivered by donations and through the Hunger Task Force. So we give out food like it's going out of style. That's what we're doing right now. So we take everything we can off the Hunger Task Force truck and we give it away. That's a big part of what brings maybe some people here, but we don't want to be limited to that now. I think we're in an open place where the services we can do can look like a lot of things. Myra is really involved with some climate change activism. That's a new thing that I think we've been missing as a part of a Catholic Worker House, giving us that energy. So if you want to participate in some activism work, you can join up with that cause too. So that's Extinction Rebellion that she participates with. I think there's opportunities to get connected to healthy activities. Alex is a yoga instructor. He's also been just recently certified to do yoga for the kind of in kind of conjunction with the 12 steps. Recovery for yoga. What's it called? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a yoga recovery program. Kind of supplements my mental health counseling. So I'm working on substance abuse as a specialty field of interest. My program, and so I'm just kind of bridging yoga with the Eastern science and with the Western science and mental health. So just using that. I'll be doing research next spring actually for yoga for substance abuse. And so in the meantime, kind of getting going with some experience with that.
Yeah, so we have those kind of things that can happen. Doing free yoga outside, some counseling. We've talked about doing one-to-one support, casework for folks who are maybe facing income insecurity, trying to find housing. For a number of years, I've worked helping people transition out of jail, so I have a lot of connections, so I can kind of do that personal kind of case management stuff. James over here is really, he's got like so many cool equipment. He can do recording. He's into making videos, so we can get our efforts can be kind of out there a little bit more than we used to, because Place of Grace is always kind of a secret nobody knew about. So maybe we can come out and be a little more creative. I think if people want to learn about us, you can start to join and participate, but it's really kind of a cool thing because you can bring something to the table, and we might do that next week, We have connections with farms too, so if you wanted to go outside and do that, we can harvest a lot of fresh produce. We have a garden in our back, so healthy eating is good too. So we're creating good, healthy meals. And this is kind of where we're at right now. The Place of Grace is adapting a little bit.
Monday morning contemplation too, which is really lovely. especially if people are sort of like in between faiths, because it's pretty open. Like we just read like one passage from the Bible, and then it's sort of like we just go around, and whatever it brings to our minds we can talk about. And it's been really like a place of solace for everything that's been happening in society today. Like things are nuts right now, and so it's really cool to incorporate the words from the gospel and really see how it's playing out today.
You talked about what people can come and they can eat, they can grab food. What if people just, they have some time to share? How can people get involved? They could donate money. Can they drop off food directly? How can people get involved in the organization?
We're such like a lean, mean operating machine. So what you give, we give right to people. So if you want to come by and say, I got some old clothes that I'm not sure, we'll give them away. I've got some food. I've got a bunch of meal that's left over from our picnic. We'll give it away. If we'll take it to the park, we'll recook it, But what people can also bring is whatever skills, talents, and connections they have. I've been to some cool Catholic worker houses where someone's good at fixing bikes. Well, guess what? Now we got a bike fixing little thing going on in the backyard, and we're giving away bikes. So we could do things to get connected, like day jobs. Like I know someone who will pay $20 an hour to do this little lawn work. That's an opportunity too, right? Because I know people who are looking for work and they want work today. And so that could be an opportunity. I think we'd like to keep that really open. Think about what kind of things you can offer to your community, and we can be kind of a conduit to offer that through people. So whether it's personal donations or your time, we could also just have, helping prepare a meal or going in our food pantry too. So there's very simple things we could start getting involved with so we don't have to get too heady.
It seems like you got a pretty open house here where people can participate, they can bring their skills. What's next for the Place of Grace? Like, what are you excited about, or, what's the next thing that's coming down the pipeline?
I think this would be cool. Imagine a house that has offerings that a lot of people can get involved with. So if you want to offering, come for food, come for a bag of groceries, or maybe you want to come and join a conversation group. Maybe the offering would look like being active in climate change, or maybe some local issues, that you want to participate in, even getting a little rowdy with civil disobedience, respectfully. But let's say you want to come by and find some day work. We can quickly connect you to that. So people who are living on the margins, living day to day, they have an offering there that's putting them on a positive track. We're not trying to change your life and make a plan for all this renewal. We just want a day of work come by, Another offering might be just a place to connect and sit outside. The point is we want to offer things that can mean a lot for different people. That offering might be a volunteer work thing. Some people come here and do their community service hours. And I think that's what I would like to see the Place of Grace grow into, is what can it mean to you? Well, what do you want to bring? And have some options too. So it's not just going to be just the meal, but other things too. And it's exciting to do that because we bring in the strengths and the abundance of the community when we open it up. Everybody has connections, they have strengths and a lot to offer. So I'd love to know if anybody wants to come join us, at 919 Hood Street, 782-6224 is a phone number, but you can reach out and we're very open. And, for students who want to do project work, Alex mentioned he's getting his master's in counseling. So why not practice that here? We got a lot of live people that the people here are just rich in community. We have a lot of diversity. We have people who speak different languages. It's a very cool place to belong and have a real sense of community.
So if people want to follow along for a little bit before they jump in, where can people find out more about the Place of Grace?
We are on social media. We're not super active, but we're getting better. On Facebook, Place of Grace. The URL is Place of Grace WI. So facebook.com/Place of Grace WI. Instagram, Place of Grace _lacrosse spelled out. And so that's probably the two easiest ways to follow along online, and you're welcome to message us there as well.
Lacrosse Local Podcast is a production of River Travel Media. Do you have an interview idea you would like to share with us? Message us on Facebook @Lacrosse Locals. Subscribe to the Lacrosse Local Podcast on your favorite podcast app. If you like us, rate us 5 stars. We thank you for it.